Hello and welcome back to the channel. Let's talk Twitter and the massive amount of copium currently taking place on the platform. Without further ado, let's get into this story. So first off, I want to start with this tweet by Elon Musk. This is, of course, a video of Elon walking into Twitter headquarters carrying a sink, and he says, "Let that sink in." I love this guy's sense of humor. He's very funny. He has an odd, quirky sense of humor, and this is a great pun. The other thing that I got to say about Elon Musk is I don't agree with everything he says. I disagree with some of the tweets that he's made recently on international topics and some political topics, but I do agree with him on other things, and that's the importance of freedom to have that dialogue. For people to be able to freely share their opinions. They may be right, they may be wrong. It's important for them to be able to say what they want to say, and for others to be able to chime in and respond and say, I agree or I disagree. And it's a way of being able to take the temperature of the room and being able to share viewpoints. You know, if Elon Musk has an opinion on something, he's not an expert in everything. If he has an opinion on something and he says it and people offer feedback, he may just find information in replies that he hadn't considered. Only an idiot thinks that they're the smartest person in the room and that nobody in the room has anything to offer. But here we have this tweet then from End Wokeness, and it says, "Let the meltdown begin." And here we have these wonderful headlines that we're seeing, like, "Goodbye facts, why Elon Musk's idea of free speech will help ruin America." I mean, the absolute absurdity of this. Look, freedom of speech is something that was so important to the founders that they literally put it into the Bill of Rights of the US Constitution. And freedom of speech is the First Amendment. It is the first of those Bill of Rights. It's kind of important. And what these people are really saying is not that free speech is not important. What they're saying is your free speech is not important. They still want to be able to have the freedom to say what they want to say, but they don't want you to have the ability to reply. And anyone who disagrees with them should be silenced. So absolutely, they don't support freedom of speech, specifically your freedom of speech, especially if you disagree with them. But they do support free speech for everyone who thinks and shares the exact same opinion as them. That's not really freedom of speech. That's actually tyranny. And that is the thing that our founding fathers were trying to warn us against and were trying to protect against. So freedom of speech is only so important that a bunch of guys who lived 200 years ago thought it should be enshrined in the Constitution of the United States of America. Then we have this: Musk gutting Twitter would be a threat to us all. Of course, how is this actually a threat? I'm not even going to bother reading a garbage article like this. They're all hung up on this freedom of speech, and they want to say things like, oh, well, a white supreme could get out there and say bad things then. And I would absolutely say that, first of all, Elon has already addressed people making certain remarks, like racist remarks, specific threats, and that's not going to be tolerated. But in addition to that, like, even if it was, and everyone else is allowed to speak as well, then they're allowed to shout him down. They're allowed to tell that person that they're an absolute idiot. Imagine being so weak-minded that you think, literally, if a white supreme stands on a corner shouting his racism, that everyone is just going to be convinced and suddenly start doing all sorts of racist shit again. I mean, it's not going to happen. When has that ever happened? Like, tell me in recent history, show me a recent rally of the white hooded figures where they marched and they had their signs and they said their stupid stuff, and then all of a sudden, like, everybody was like, oh, well, obviously they must be right. Look, they're having a march. Look, they must be correct. I've been wrong all this time. Racism is the way to go, clearly. No, that never fucking happens. I mean, these people are absolutely out of their fucking minds. So let me get this straight. It's a national security threat for him to own Twitter, but it was not a national security threat for Twitter to be operated by a bunch of people who are with a specific ideology. But then this is implying that Elon Musk, who has a different specific ideology, it is a threat for him to own Twitter. Okay? But again, he's telling you that he is not going to be the arbiter of what can be said. And in fact, he will open it up as a free speech platform, guaranteeing that anyone can get their voice heard, that people will be able to say what they want, of course, within the bounds of the law. Yes, the law, free speech is actually something that is regulated within the bounds of law in the United States. I think this is because this is so important that the founders thought it should be enshrined in our Constitution. This is basically how we should operate in everyday life. I mean, you should allow others to have their opinion, even if it doesn't mirror your own. I'm not saying that these wokies can't have their opinion, that they can't be on Twitter, that they can't have their separate platform if they want, Tribal. I'm not advocating shutting down Tribal. I'm not advocating censoring these wokies that want to say that all of this stuff is bad. I'm simply countering, I'm rebutting with freedom of speech. And they don't want that. This is specifically what bothers them. Of course, they're never afraid to hear their own voice or another parrot saying the exact same thing they're saying, but they're always afraid to hear anyone who says anything different. That is a cult, my friends. It's a cult. Finally, Elizabeth Warren says Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter is dangerous for our democracy. Again, I don't know how. I seriously doubt that it's dangerous for our democracy. You see, how is that dangerous for our democracy? When he says, I'm going to make Twitter a reflection of how our society operates, how we are able to speak freely as a society, as a democracy that is enshrined in our Constitution. And that's how important it is. And that's so important that I'm going to make Twitter mirror that, a reflection of that idea. And that, of course, is dangerous somehow to our democracy. Now, you can see this is all absolute horseshit. But, of course, the responses to these were absolutely phenomenal. People are like, hey, the tears are delicious. I love this meme here. Leftist, 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 and leftist. This is honestly what it feels like sometimes talking to these people. I always like to say they eat their own. All you have to do is wait long enough. Inevitably, it's going to happen. I love these takes like his. Like, he was tried to back out of the deal and was forced by the courts to complete the deal. He did offer a bid for Twitter that he then tried to back out because he had concerns over the number of bot accounts and the lies that Twitter had told him. And then in the end, even though he filed a lawsuit and the lawsuit was proceeding forward, he later agreed to go ahead and buy Twitter after all. That otherwise, there would still be a lawsuit going on. So don't be a retard, all right? Seriously. Okay, this one. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Yes, the sky is falling. And then these, someone, Dark Event said, fixed one of them, why Elon Musk's idea of free speech will help America. And then there were a couple others in here. Elon Musk owning Twitter is a Democratic Party threat instead of a threat to democracy. Yeah, that's probably really what they're saying when they're speaking of this. Because if someone else is allowed to share their ideas, well, then suddenly that's dangerous. That doesn't make sense to me, and that doesn't represent what the Democratic Party used to be about. They used to be anti-censorship. They used to be pro-freedom of speech. And honestly, I don't know what the fuck happened to them. This one, Musk gunning Twitter would be a treat to us all. Yes, indeed, it would be. We are waiting for that to happen. And finally, Elizabeth Warren says Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter is helpful for our democracy. Those are all greatly improved headlines, and I agree with them. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think of Elon's purchase of Twitter and him coming in like a boss, entering Twitter HQ while of course carrying a sink and tweeting about it saying, let that sink in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. In the meantime, if you want to continue to smash the narrative the way Elon has been smashing the narrative with regards to Twitter, then please click on the like, share, and subscribe buttons. We're currently pushing for 1,000 subscribers and closing in on 700. If you're enjoying the content, then please do subscribe, as it really does help. That's all I have for now, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.